Thinking about my remarks today, I had to contemplate what I felt about it. I mean, how many times are you asked to articulate your feelings about anything, particularly an emotion-filled day like today? And so I took some quiet time to reflect. And I thought about Memorial Days past, and I can't think of a time in my life when I did not look up to veterans and those in the military. It was just inbred in our family, in our community, in my small town. We observe Veterans or Memorial Day each and every May. I recall the early floats in my younger life. The floats contained World War I veterans. And I was just thinking before coming over here today, a quick math reveals that they were then the age I am now. So for you young people in the audience, you will one day say at a Memorial Day in the not too distant future that you were there when Vietnam veterans roamed the planet. I also remember my earliest memories are going to the Catholic Mass at the Catholic Cemetery in my town of Watertown, New York. And there you can imagine in the Catholic tradition the vestments of the priests and the altar boys, the incense, the Mass in Latin, and it mingled with the colors of the honor guard, the uniform and the military symbols, the bugle, the taps, the gun salute to the fallen. And for this young boy, it made it apparent that those who died and those who were buried in that cemetery were martyrs. They were saint-like. They were above human nature. They were above mere mortals. They had achieved the status of saints. And so then I read Joseph Campbell, who's a great mythologist, a professor. You might remember some of his influence in the movie Star Wars, but he is an expert and a well-published author on mythologies and myth. And he tells us that the warrior's journey, the hero's journey, is archetypal, that it travels through all communities and all centuries and all tribes and all cultures. We all revere our veterans and our heroes. And we all have celebrated through the years ceremonies such as this. And it makes sense. Young boy, young girl leaves the comforts of their home. They leave behind mother and comfort, apple pie, all those good things we take with civilian life. They leave their friends. And they go through some training, some rigors, some tests to prepare them for the ordeal ahead of them. And after the completion of this test, they are reborn, they are reincarnated into another creature, if you will, into another form of human who's taken on sacred responsibilities. And we know those people as young airmen, Marines, sailors, and Army soldiers. They become our warriors. So I know this to be true, mythologically speaking, and what of the American part of that myth? How do we as Americans celebrate our veterans? Well, I'm also reminded by Stephen Ambrose. Stephen Ambrose was a World War II historian, author. You may remember him from his book, Band of Brothers. And he speaks about Americans when he says that the World War II was a war between the sons of democracy and the sons of totalitarianism and fascism. And it was the sons of democracy that got us off the beaches of Normandy 50 years ago. You see, the Germans thought that they could kill the higher ranking officers by the snipers to shoot down the higher ranking and therefore leave the leaderless troops floundering on the shore. But the American Army was built to improvise and adapt and move forward. So it was the lieutenants and the sergeants and the corporals that got the men off the beach that day and who won World War II. So 70 years after that battle and after that victory, we are gathered here on May 25th, 2015 to honor and remember all the sons and daughters of our democracy who have been sent to faraway places on behalf of the United States of America. They fought in such places as Korea, Vietnam, Panama, Pick a country, Lebanon, Persian Gulf, Iraq, Afghanistan, and hundreds of places that we don't know about where our special forces are today. So we honor today all the men and women of our democracy who have put it on the line for our country and who paid the ultimate price. I know that intellectually, and I know that mystically, the experience of our veterans. But what I want to talk to you today about is the particular day in which all this reverberated through me in a personal way. And it won't take long, believe me, but it's the day I learned the code of the brotherhood. And like any day, it began nonchalantly, up, do your mission. I was flying in an 01 Bird Dog along the DMZ in Vietnam, looking for bad guys, looking for infiltrators with our pilot. And over the intercom, over the radio, on a channel called Guard, which overrides all other radio transmissions, and it's used for emergency, we heard of a downed pilot. We heard the communications between a downed pilot and the search and rescue team trying to get him out. Pilot had been shot down somewhere up in Laos near the North Vietnam border, a bit north from where I was at the time. And we heard this conversation between the pilot and the rescue lead, and I will call him lead for this story. And we were transfixed by this exchange. The pilot shot down was whispering, "They're all around me, they're all around me." And the lead was saying to him, "Keep your head down, babe, we're gonna get you out. Keep your head down. They're all around me, keep your head down." He must have run in some A1E Sky Raiders, the lead. That's an airplane with bombs and machine guns to prep the area around where the pilot was in grave danger. And so the planes went in, evidently. We couldn't hear that part of it. But we heard lead say, "Okay, babe, we think we got him. Keep your head down. We're coming in to get you. Here comes the Jolly Green." And the plane went in to get him out, the rescue helicopter, the Jolly Green Giant. And we heard the lead say, "Damn, they're all down, they're all down." And we heard the pilot say, "They're all down. They got them all, they got them all." The first plane going in, the first rescue helicopter was shot up, crashed, everybody killed. 9 people on board that helicopter. "Gosh, it's too dangerous, it's too dangerous. They're all around me. Keep your head down, babe, we're gonna get you out." Lead ran in a second pair of fighter planes to prep the area. And we waited and we were listening on our radio in our plane, hundreds of miles away. "Damn," he says, "damn." They had to pull out. Second helicopter gets shot up. It had to pull out. The guy on the ground, leave me, man, it's too dangerous." "Keep your head down, babe, we're gonna get you out." That's what Lee was saying. So the third helicopter came. They prepped the area again. And we waited patiently as we were in our airplane, silent, stunned with listening to this drama unfold. "Keep your head down, babe." "Oh man, they're all around me." They must have prepped the area with the A1Es. But then the third Jolly Green went in and said, "Keep your head down, babe, because this is gonna be quick. Get ready, you're coming in." So we didn't hear anything, of course, except they got him, they got him. And so the mission was successful. The correspondence between the two, the radio communication was dead. And we were left to our mission, flying along the demilitarized zone. And we were still stunned. Not a word had been spoken between the pilot and I. And we contemplated what that meant, that moment. And it was just overwhelming, the sacrifice that had happened, probably in 45 minutes or an hour, I can't remember exactly. And as we were thinking about this particular incident, we looked out at our 2 o'clock, and there coming from the north was a tight formation of the Jolly Green Giant, flanked by the 2 A1Es that just participated in that brave rescue. And they came loping by at a steady speed, and it was like a funeral dirge. Not a word was spoken, the formation was tight, no one was around. There was no news at 11, there was no film, there was no nothing, it was just us. It was just us. And that plane and that formation flew quietly by, and of course, I'll never forget it, and I have not forgotten it in the 45 years since that time. And so I then learned, and I thought, my God, this is the expectation. This is what's expected of me. You cannot listen to that story without hearing bravery, courage, duty above self. But it gets into the philosophical arena too, the metaphysical. Because all creeds and all holy books, they salute that no greater love have a man than he laid down his life for his brother. So when that mission was the expectation for me, I was still a young guy trying to get into the fraternity, trying to earn my way into my unit. And that's the way it is in the military. And there's a code of the brotherhood that I learned that day. And the code is this, that down pilot was me. That down pilot is all of us. At least it was all of us who were on the mission that day overhearing it. And so it becomes transformational. And it became evident that when you're in the military and you're in harm's way halfway around the world, nobody's going to come and get you except your brother. And so that's the code of the brotherhood. Not all of us have been called to such heroism, for that's the God of war is in charge of what circumstances befall us. Our obligation is just to be ready and to man up when our time comes, and to do it as unflinchingly as those rescue pilots did. And so I'm humbled by that experience. And I look at all the veterans out here, and I think we all know when somebody calls us a hero, we shrug and say, no way. We were around heroes. It's just that the gods of war didn't call upon us to take our ultimate sacrifice. We lucked out. By random luck, by chance, however we want to claim it. We were fortunate enough to come home and have the lives that were denied so many who were cut down at a young age. So I reflect upon that today, and here we are, thinking about all the people that are in harm's way as we speak. That rescue operation was just a day. We flew our mission, went and had lunch, and went back out and flew again. And those types of operations are going on as we speak around the world by our young men and women, our children of democracy. They're the children of the world's oldest democracy who are in Iraq and Afghanistan. So I want to leave you with a call to action, if I can. And I think Phil mentioned this earlier. My wife overheard someone say, some female veteran who was damaged badly in an IED explosion. And her remark was, make it count. You know, America, make it count. Make our sacrifice count. And I'm reminded of the movie Saving Private Ryan. Many of you saw that movie. The captain is telling Private Ryan to earn the sacrifice of our veterans, the heroic deeds, the unselfish sacrifice that they have laid down their lives for this country. And we owe it to them. We owe it to them. We have to make it count. And in this democracy, it's the people we send out are not Republicans or Democrats. They're Americans. They're the sons and daughters of America. They're ours. And we citizens and we veterans owe it to them to make sure that before they're put in harm's way, we have encouraged our country to have a debate about where they're going and why. What are the reasons for this sacrifice? Is our government worthy of what's going to take place in faraway places? The heroism of brother saving brother, of sister saving sister. And we also owe it to them to have their back when they get home, that the VA works, that the other systems that are in place for these brave men and women are in place when they return to civilian life to be made whole again. And so that's the daunting task about all of us today, and I take it personally. I know we in the Veterans Heritage Project, Barbara Hatch is here. Barbara Hatch started the Veterans Heritage Project so we could hear the stories of you veterans. And I've never been so honored as I have been by her and her organization nor have I ever been so honored as I have been today speaking in front of all of you. I can't thank you enough for this honor, and I humbly encourage you to earn it. Earn this day, all of us American citizens. Thank you so much.